What do you mean by that? Hi, I'm Jared.
And I'm Genna, and this is...
What do you mean by that? It's a podcast about two performers that just happen to be married.
Really?
What are we talking about today?
So we got a few comments after our last episode, a few questions, a few suggestions, and even some dream casts. So we encouraged our followers, if you didn't listen to the last episode, to suggest some different dream casts from different eras for different musicals. So Shelby suggested... I love this idea, Shelby, first of all, but he suggested Into the Woods, a Muppet musical. I'm obsessed with this idea.
I think I need to know what Muppets would play what.
I mean, yeah, I just need to see Miss Piggy as the witch.
Can I see Animal as the mysterious man?
Well, and we all know who the baker's going to be.
Who's that?
The Swedish chef. He already has the job down. He do be cooking.
That is true. That's true. Well, the next stuff we have is from Quentin, and he said, Tick, Tick, Boom, only it's in the 70s. So he said Jonathan should be cast as Billy Joel, Susan as Linda Ronstadt, and Michael as Michael Jackson.
That would be awesome.
I think this is incredible. He also added in, you can't tell me Billy Joel and Michael Jackson's version of No More wouldn't slap. I agree, Quentin. That was a great one.
I need to hear that whole cast album.
That would be great. Well, we put out a questionnaire on our Instagram page, so if you haven't followed us yet, make sure to follow us at Jared and Genna on our Instagram to make sure you ask us a question for next week's episode.
This week, we got a question from Will. He said, what do you find to be the most difficult thing about dating or being with other actors, if there is anything?
I think personally for me, being married to another actor, I think the most difficult thing is once we do get hired for a contract, most of the time you're moving somewhere, living somewhere else, you're away from the person that you are dating or you're a partner with.
Yeah, long distance, even if for short little times, it can be a little bit challenging, but yeah. You know, just in the sense that we miss each other, obviously.
A lot of communication though, a lot of FaceTimes.
Yes, FaceTime is great. For me, I think the hardest part is since we are both performers and we know the ups and downs and challenges of this industry, sometimes it can be hard watching the person you love going through those things just because you know firsthand just how hard that can be. Yeah,
I can understand that, especially whenever you're like auditioning for either the same project or you both have two separate projects that are really big. One may get it, one may not. Mm-hmm. But I think the best like word of advice I can say to anyone out there is just be a support system no matter what. No matter if you're the one who got it, support them if the other person didn't, or vice versa. If you're the one who didn't get it, you can still support the one that did and be really excited and celebrate them.
Yeah, on the flip side of that answer, for everything that makes that challenging of knowing what those hardships are like, isn't it so great to have that support system of somebody who understands it 100%?
Absolutely.
Well, audition season is upon us. I know we have a few auditions coming up, and several of you probably have some auditions coming up. So we thought we'd compile a few different tips and tricks, some questions. We've been, scoping through the Facebook groups. If you're not a part of those, I highly recommend getting on Facebook. That is where a lot of information is, but I keep seeing some of the same questions over and over. One I keep seeing a lot is just, what do I need to wear to these auditions?
You need to wear clothes. That's the first thing. So what I personally wear to auditions now is I think that we're far past the jewel tone dresses and button up shirts. All right. That is something that, both of us definitely learned in college and before. And that kind of was the style. You kind of always dressed in certain exact styles and everyone kind of looked the same. And there's always the joke of the blonde headed girl in the blue or red dress.
I think my college ladies out there can guarantee the solid color fit and flare with the tan character shoes, usually with your hair curled. I think we're all a little bit glad that that's not the trend these days.
And there definitely still will be people who feel most comfortable with that. That's all great. But if you're just going for to be a little bit different, but don't want to be totally out there, you know what I'll say? This is what everyone says, and I 100% believe it. Just be yourself. Dress something like you would, only looking your best.
Yes, you need to look like you on a very good day, with the sense also, you're going in for a job interview at the end of the day. So don't wear anything you wouldn't wear to a job interview, but you can show a little bit more character and a little bit more personality than your standard job interview.
Absolutely. And I know people are like, for guys, no jeans. Come on. But like, let's talk about black jeans, all right? Everyone wears black jeans to auditions now. People even wear, like, quote-unquote nice t-shirts. I personally don't, but I definitely think that there is a market for that, and it depends on what kind of roles you're going for as well.
That's exactly right. I was about to say, if you're, going for Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella, and it's being done a bit more traditionally with the ball gowns and everything, maybe you don't want to go in, ripped jeans and a big t-shirt, because that's just not as much the vibes. But if you're going for other shows, that might be the look that might just get you in the door.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know that Grease, that's a big topic this year. Almost every regional theater is doing Grease or somewhere.
I think you could totally get away with a pair of dark or black jeans for Grease.
And just wait until The Outsiders is released publicly.
Oh my gosh, just the leather jackets will be out. For girls, personally, I know it's a mixed bag for shoes specifically. I was actually just reading a forum today that was like, do I wear heels? Do I not wear heels? If you rock heels and if, you're 100% comfortable wearing them and you're not going to fall or anything, wear the heels. That's you. That's going to show off who you are. If you're not a heel person, I wouldn't walk into a high stress, high pressure situation wearing heels because you don't want to add any extra nerves or any other element of, I know me personally, I don't want to add any extra trip hazards, so I would not wear heels I was not entirely comfortable in. So I think a pair of flats, nice sneakers if they're clean, it depends on the audition, but you can pull off some sneakers, boots, heeled boots, anything with a low heel, something sturdy that you're going to be comfortable in the whole day, I think is the best way to go.
To piggyback off that, I do have a question for you, Jenna. How do you feel about the dresses and chunky sneakers look?
The dresses and chunky sneakers look. I personally am all for whatever's going to make you comfortable. However, I did happen to overhear a conversation between two casting directors who had been behind the table, and they were saying that they are not big fans of that trend. So because of that conversation I overheard, I do tend to stay away from that look personally. But again, if that's you, I don't know. Maybe there's a casting director out there that would like it, but I do tend to try to stay away from that trend personally.
And on the flip side of that, guys, please do not wear sweatpants and just a plain blank white t-shirt, okay? I've seen a couple of people do that and they don't look very confident in it, and you just want to feel your best. If you feel your best and you look your best, then you're going to feel confident, and that's the only thing you need. You just need to walk in there like you've already gotten the part, because your opportunity is to audition. The opportunity is not to get the absolute job, but once you go in there, you do your thing and you walk off. That is what people actually want to see you.
Yeah, and I think lately just remembering the fact that they want to hire you. You being there is helping them out because they need to cast the show. So your job is to just show them how good you are.
Yes, they definitely need you just as much as you need them.
Yes, 100%.
Another big topic about audition season is, what should I prepare? What should I prepare for monologues or songs? Should I do contrasting? Should I do both comedic? Should I do both dramatic? What should I do? This is a big daunting thing that I think touches all of us personally, but starting with the monologues, a lot of people like to look up stuff online. They like to scour through those 90-second monologues, 60-second monologues, everything like that. I feel like that might put you in a little bit of a box. My biggest advice I would give would probably be just comb through some plays. You can easily find plays, PDFs online. You can also just go to a bookstore. You can find used plays for like $1.90 at some stores, and just looking through those, finding what really fits your character, what you really like, and it means more to you as well. And reading those through the plays and knowing the story will really help you deliver that better.
I also like when I'm combing through plays trying to find a monologue, sometimes if I can't find a solid chunk, but it's a character I really, really like, I find a scene that they did that shows a lot of personality and a lot of dynamics with that character, and I see if I can piece those lines from that scene together to make a monologue. I know I've done that a couple of times, and it really helps because it kind of does half the work of monologue prep for you, because where usually if you have a solid chunk of text and you're trying to break it down, you might have to infer what another character you're speaking to on stage might be reacting. You might have to, when you have your two or your, moment before, you might have to make it all up or draw from context that no one else really knows. Where if you're drawing a monologue from a scene, it's all right there for you. You don't have to make any of it up off the spot. You're reading that other character's reaction, and you can work it into your performance even though they're not actually talking there with you.
Exactly. And I think it's totally okay to paraphrase and definitely change up monologues, as long as you're not like changing the overall story of it or trying to completely plagiarize. But it's not like the old times or like some things like in college auditions that they used to do where they ask you to recite exactly where it's from. Like I had to do whenever I auditioned for colleges. That was a nightmare. But we definitely think it's really okay to paraphrase if you really need to and really make it fit your style so that you can really show them yourself, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, stay as close to the source text as possible. But at the end of the day, when you're submitting self-tapes or going into some of these big auditions, most of the time they might not necessarily know what the monologue is from, and if they do, they're not going to have it there in front of them to know if you veer off script a little bit, you know. And if they do, it's not the end of the world. They know it's an audition. They know you might have some nerves working in. They know that that's not, at the end of the day, the most important thing there.
Absolutely. Whenever it comes to preparing songs and song cuts and staying within those 90 seconds or 60 seconds or however long you have whenever summer stock or whatever audition process you're going in, I would say that with song cuts, really choose a song that you know well. I would not personally advise you to choose a brand new song and you have 1 week to prepare it, because I think the biggest regret, and I've heard some other people say this, one person I could credit was Derek Klina. He said that the one thing he has regrets in his career is walking out of an audition room and realizing he did not prepare enough.
That would be terrifying. And I know for me, if I see a breakdown of a character, I get so in my head about, well, I love this song, it sounds really good in my voice, but does it suit that character? Does it show this character? And while that is important to, you know, make sure you're gearing yourself towards what the casting directors need to see, you also just want to do, like you said, like you want to do your best work.
Absolutely, yeah. So we wanted to ask you guys, is there any auditions that you guys have coming up that you guys are really excited for, or maybe you're not excited for, you're really nervous for, and excited for? We totally understand. We'd love to hear about it in the comments below this podcast.
Yeah, you can leave a comment here. You can send us a DM on Instagram, like Jared mentioned earlier, Jared and Genna on Instagram. There's lots of ways to get a hold of us, and we want to help you guys out. But to stay on the topic of auditions, Jared, what's in your audition bag?
Oh, my audition bag. So if I know there's going to be a dance call or a possibility of a dance call, I definitely bring these 3 things. I'll say 4 things, okay? So I always bring some sort of water bottle, whether it's just a plastic water bottle I can throw away or like a big, like a big Yeti water bottle or something. I bring that. I also bring a pair of dance shoes. Now, dance shoes can vary of what the kind of style you're doing. You can bring like jazz shoes, jazz sneakers, tap shoes. You can even bring just a pair of like Nike tennis shoes if that kind of fits more of the vibe and the dance studio doesn't require like super clean shoes. So I always bring a pair of dance shoes of what kind of style we're going to be working on. I also bring a change of athletic wear, something that still looks nice, something that is not like, you know, short shorts or psychedelic tank tops. I've seen it all. So I bring something that still looks nice, something I could probably pair with one of the shirts I already wore. And then most importantly, I bring like my rep book. I have that in the bag. It feels a little bit less clunky sometimes just having that in a bag whenever you're moving around. A lot of places I've gone, you just kind of leave your stuff in one central location and then you move around to multiple different like performance venues, and it's really nice to have that home base. Mm-hmm. What's in your audition bag, Genna?
So some of the same stuff, you know, shoes, clothes, your binder and everything. I'm going to touch off the binder a little bit. When you have your audition book, it's really important because you never know, they might ask for something else for you that you haven't necessarily prepared. So if you have that book with you that has a couple more songs or a monologue you can draw inspiration from, you can just grab that book and start doing it. But also, if you have an iPad, iPads are such a great resource for actors these days. They're great for rehearsals. They're great for taking notes. You can even download scripts onto them. And specifically for an audition, maybe they, you know, want you to sing something specific that you might not have in your book, but, you know, they're giving you some time to learn it. That iPad is your tool to both listen to it, and then if you're able to get sheet music on it, you have that to study too. It's just a really great resource to have. Also in my audition bag, I like to keep snacks in there. You never know how long you're going to be there for some of these auditions, and you don't want to, you know, go into a dance call 5 hours after you got there on an empty stomach. That's just a recipe for disaster. So some light snacks that aren't going to make you feel sick, that aren't too heavy, and that also aren't super messy. I know personally I like something like a granola bar because it's not going to be super crummy, and I'm going to feel full enough and have energy, but I'm not necessarily going to feel super weighed down for anything I might be asked to do that day.
Yes, for sure. You definitely want to be well fed, not too well fed. No tomato sauce.
Ooh, no.
But yeah, definitely keeping that core, like that stamina up throughout the day. I mean, especially if you're going like 8-hour, 9-hour auditions.
There's some really long audition days.
Yes.
You want to make sure you're prepared for anything that they might ask you to do. So I think always food, a change of clothes, water, like you said. For girls, if you need, any extra makeup to do any touch-ups, if you need spare hair ties, if you don't wind up needing it, but you're just that girl that's able to give them to someone else who need them. I always like keeping a few things on hand where, if someone's going into a dance call and doesn't have a hair tie, I can pull one off my wrist and be like, here, there you go. And then you can walk out of the audition with a friend potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great networking, great making friends, great just everything. Going to auditions is one of the 100% best things you can do ever in this career,
yes,
for sure.
There are so many possibilities for an audition that go outside of just booking that one job or getting that job.
Absolutely. I still have a lot of friends from just auditions that I've been sitting beside talking to, and we still talk on and off for years now, so it is really great.
Yeah, you just never know who you're going to meet.
For sure. And I definitely think that one of the main things, I have a personal hard time doing this, but one of the main things before auditions is make sure you're well rested. Like, make sure you get sleep, and if you can't get sleep, then make sure you take care of yourself with your voice. I am the worst at vocal rest sometimes because I definitely like to talk, hence the podcast. But really, it really does matter. Like, you really have to trust yourself. Don't try to sing your audition packet 20,000 times the same morning you're about to go in. Warm-ups are fine. Giving it a few goes, sure, who cares? You
yes.
do you. But trying to belt out that, that money note 50,000 times and then still like clamming up whenever it happens, like just know this: you have put in the work, the words. If you're standing right, you're on deck and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't know the lyrics, I don't know this. If you're second guessing yourself the entire time, then it's not going to be there for you. But if you don't, and you walk up there and say, I put in the work and now I just have to perform, this is my performance right here. Not once I get the job, this is my performance for all these 50 plus theaters that you might be at a catalog call.
Yeah, you just have to go into it with the mindset of, I know my stuff, I've practiced it, at this point I'm ready to do it, and this is what I have to give the people. And if it doesn't work out, then it's not, oh, I wasn't good enough, or they found someone who was better than me. It's, I wasn't what they were looking for that day, but my package was still there. Just be confident in what you're taking in there. There's only so much work you can do to put into it, and that
Jenna's currently dying on the other side of the microphone.
So sorry, everyone. I think I might have just swallowed a bug. We're all good now. I'm here. I'm alive. Did not die.
This is a party over here.
Yeah.
Anyway, where were we?
Just be confident in your work. You know what you're doing. You've practiced it. You've put in the work. By the time the audition rolls around, you've done everything you can do. Just go in there and do your absolute best. And it sounds cliche, but it's cliche for a reason.
Hey, and if you are trying to go for that money note, belting super high, everything like that, mouth gaping open whenever that bug goes down the back of your throat, you can come here and blame Genna for it.
You can blame it on the bug.
Well, speaking of mishaps, Genna, do you have any cool stories or crazy stories from auditions in your past?
Ooh, cool or crazy stories. I have a funny story from an audition. This was a couple years ago, but you know how they say if you put something on your special skills in your resume, only put it on there if you're 100% prepared to actually do it? Yeah. That's true. Only do it because they will ask. And I was at an audition and they were reading my special skills and it said that I can burp on command, which, disclaimer, I was told by a college professor that I needed to have that on my resume. So I put it on my resume and I went to this audition and I did the audition, I did my package, and the casting director looked at me and he held up a card, and you knew you were getting a call back if they handed you this card. And he kind of held the card up and he looked at me and he said, this card is all yours if you can burp on command like your resume says. So I braced myself and I did it and I burped and he said, wow, and it wasn't even cute. He said, that was not what I expected to come out of you today. And he walked over and he gave me my callback card and I went to the callback and I booked the job. Hey. And I don't know how much of it actually did hinge on that burp.
All because of that trucker burp.
I honestly, based on the gig, I do think the burp helped.
There you go.
All right, Jared, what about you? Any crazy or wild stories? Anything you've been asked to do for auditions?
Well, I probably have so many crazy stories, like me flubbing or other people flubbing or like forgetting dance routines, such like that. I think one of the craziest stories personally, you can be asked to do a lot of crazy things, especially whenever like submitting self-tapes or like resubmitting things or emailing. Like, I think one of the the funniest ones is I was requested to take a lot of photos of just my hair, like just my hair in different styles, like making it wet or making it oily or making it like spiky or anything. Oh. And this was all for one project. And I took a ton of photos. I didn't exactly know what they meant. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go to a mirror and just randomize my hair like I'm some sort of like Sims character.
Had you like already submitted like pictures of yourself? Like, did they already know what your hair looked like?
There's headshots, there was videos, there was everything you can imagine, and I submitted a ton of photos and I did book the job. Surprisingly, I was scared. I didn't know what hairstyle they would or would not like, so
they liked the hair.
You never know what you can be asked. And I do definitely have like impressions in my special skills, and I have been asked to do those on spot, and they definitely have been like, all right, yeah, we're just testing you.
You're not going to do any of them now?
Don't know about that.
Save them for later episode.
Save them for later. We'll save them for later. Speaking of later, though, next week happens to be a special holiday.
It is. Valentine's Day is coming up.
Yeah. And we have a couple of questions for you guys over on our Instagram page at Jared and Genna.
Yeah, throughout the week, we're going to be posting some different Valentine's Day themed questions and posts. So keep an eye out for those and make sure you're responding because, I don't know, your question might just end up on the podcast next week.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to us. We will see you guys bright and early next week on Tuesday.
Yeah, and make sure you're following us here on Spotify so you never miss an episode. And make sure to go find us over on Instagram at Jared and Genna. We love hearing from you guys and we love all of your support. Bye.